over the past few weeks, we've been putting the finishing touches on the Carno Zone and making sure we get all of the dinosaurs in it that we wanted to have. Well, it's finally time to turn our attention from the Carno area onto our next project, the Aquatic Zone. So join us in building Jurassic Park. Before we could properly start on a new zone, we needed to sort out our resource issue. A few weeks earlier, I had installed a digital miner and ore duplication system into the basement of our lab, so that we could get a steady stream of resources. Now, this system did work well enough, but by about halfway through week 10, we had mined pretty much all of the resources we needed from our base. So we came up with an idea. We would build a new factory on the far end of the park that would act as not only a new place for the digital miner, but also a dedicated space to make new vehicles and process our resources. Of course, we wanted this to not really be part of the park, but more of an add-on hidden just out of sight, so Martha made the road up to the factory just north of the herbivore zone, and also had a bit of a spruce up of that area while she was at it. While she did this, I got hard at work trying to make a security barrier for the security booth she had made. This single barrier drove me borderline insane. It became a challenge that I refused to back down from. I knew to raise the barrier I would need to use frame teleporters to teleport the barrier to a separate location, then use a slider system to swap out the lower barrier for the raised one and vice versa. Just trying to get this sliding system working took so much effort, far more than I expected. Eventually, I got it working, but I will admit it is not exactly the fastest or most efficient system. I know I can get it to work a lot smoother, but that is an issue for another day, when I have the mental capacity for it. We've got a block called of course you are. A frame teleporter, right, from the Funky Locomotion.
Okay.
So, just stay there, watching the barrier.
Okay.
I'm just going to show you this in action. Oh. Wait for it.
Excellent.
Wait for it. It takes a few seconds. I can fix the timings. I just don't know how to do it yet. Well, no, I do, but it's going to take me a while to... I had enough of it last night. Should, in
Fair enough.
3, 2, 1-ish, be transferring back. It's not transferring back.
Oh, there it is.
There we
it
go.
is.
Yeah.
Fuck's
It
sake.
goes quicker. It goes quicker going down than it does going up. I'll say that. So I'll show you why it's so troubled. I think it's... Yeah, here we are. So if you come here, just
Holy shit.
yeah, just look into this pit. This is what it's doing at the moment to transfer over.
For fuck's sake. That's so much effort for something we'll never use.
Yep. Do you have dirt on you?
No.
I'll come
The
back for it
system's
later.
Nearby, so.
Leaving Martha to make a start on the factory, I decided to, at the very least, begin the entrance to the main feature of the aquatic zone, the underwater glass tunnel. So to get down there, I built an elevator and this super long corridor which leads to where the underwater tunnel will begin. To speed up traversing the tunnel, I threw in these escalators, but instead of making them vertical, I kept them flat to make walking speed faster. At Martha's suggestion, I made some scuba gear so that I wouldn't drown myself trying to build the tunnel. Using my newly constructed scuba gear, I constructed this large glass tunnel that went straight through the lake located just south of the Carno Zone. Now, once I built the tunnel, the real challenge came, draining the water from inside it. Initially, I thought I would use a Buildcraft pump and just pump all of the water into tanks, but quickly I realised this would take forever, so instead I just used a building wand and a bunch of dirt. To walk through the tunnel, I made a catwalk with a glass floor. To get this design, I literally just used some glass tables, although I do need to add some railings eventually. With that sorted, I drove down to where the factory would be, so that me and Martha could use diorite to make a plan. It took us a long time just to decide what blocks we would be using. A problem only made worse by Martha getting distracted because she saw the first wolf we had seen on this island and decided she would chase it around for ages to make it a dog. Eventually though, We decided on a rough plan, and I wired up the storage system to the factory and moved some energy cubes over to act as portable batteries. To start with, I just made the floor plan of what machines would go where and built the walls, the sloped roof, and the chimney for the main factory floor, while Martha built the rest of the exterior. After spending several hours on that, I went back to the aquatic zone and constructed this moon pool with a functioning door that opens into the lake, and a moon pool that literally lets you dock the vehicle, which would make traversing the lake so much easier. The Seamoth from Subnautica. This was one of many things that we added to the mod pack that I just completely forgot about, because I never really had a reason to use it. I got super excited about the Seamoth when I made it, so instantly went to place it down. Then got confused why it wasn't moving, and after a bit of trial and error, I remembered it needed fuel. So one quick trip to my storage system later, I got it working. And it was just beautiful. It can even go into the moonpool holder and drop out into the water just like the game. As per usual, once I began to make progress on one part of the park, I got bored and went back to another. This time I made two quantum entangleopers to literally teleport electricity from the main power grid to the factory. Now, these were super expensive to make, but I still think it was easier than digging a physical power system. I wired this system into a bunch of capacitors, then linked those capacitors up to a switch to turn on and off the power, and a device that measured how much power was passing through it. While I did this, Martha finished the exterior of the factory, which she purposefully made to look as much like a prison as possible, so that we can drain the hopes and dreams out of our workers. Oh, she also kidnapped a pig. For some reason. Not really too sure why, but it's Martha, so who knows. Down by the lake, I took inspiration from SeaWorld and made these steps and seating area for people to watch the water dinos swim around and eat their food. I even added this little food stand that sells fish pie, because I wasn't sure what other food to put there. Finally, it was time to put down our first fish, so I spent a bit of time with some fine nets to gather a bunch of plankton and krill before grabbing some Residus, which we already had ready to go, and hopped into the Seamoth. To be honest, placing them down, I just had to sort of hope that they would survive and grow into adulthood, because the lake is just that large that it wouldn't be easy to monitor them like it was with other pens. Running over to the factory, I quickly built a proper garage just so that I can finally move all of our vehicle workbenches from outside the lab to their own dedicated area. To celebrate, I made us two motorbikes, a delivery van that you can actually walk around inside of, and an ambulance. With the Carno zone now being completed, I also quickly made this little map and put it around the park. I plan to make more of these maps for other zones eventually, and that's where I am leaving this week's episode. When it comes to physical progress, it may not seem like we've done as much as we have in the past few weeks, but what we have done is a lot of technical work setting up the factory and the start of the aquatic zone, so that in the next few weeks we can speed things up and build at a faster rate. But those are things for us to do later, so join us next time on Building Jurassic Park.